A Mordialloc apartment has been evacuated. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I have my stein of coffee and I'd like to talk about, well, sadly I wouldn't like to, but it's becoming more and more common with apartment evacuations, and this is another one in Melbourne. And it's due to cladding and fire safety risks. Now Mordialloc, we'll have a look, we'll jump to the Google Earth here, and you can see here, it's not too far from the bay. Looks like a nice trendy area right near the golf course here. Yeah, definitely a suburb I probably couldn't afford to buy in. I'd be far from the water in Melbourne, at least judging by some of the clearance rates and prices we saw yesterday. So, Melbourne apartment block unsafe to live in due to cladding and fire safety. Residents told to leave. So that's a tough thing when you're instructed to leave. Once again, it's a failure of the system. Residents have been ordered to leave an apartment building in Melbourne southeast, which is covered in combustible cladding. The Mordialloc building was deemed unsafe to occupy after an inspection by the Victorian Building Authority's VBA statewide cladding audit on Thursday. Most of the decade-old, remember that, decade-old, complex's 17 units were already vacant, with the 4 remaining residents given 48 hours to move out. Okay, well, at least, yeah, that's still sad, but it's better than everyone just pulled out. Decade-old, guys. Decade-old. This problem has been going on for a long time. There's some fundamental issues in the construction industry. I mean, we'll jump back to my map. And this is just what I have on my Google Earth. You know, I'm pinning all these things here. We'll turn off the roads and borders. And this isn't everything. I'm just starting to... I've missed some in Brisbane, and I'm getting lazy putting them in. But we're starting to collect a lot of buildings with issues. Just on my little channel. The VBA's Chief Executive Officer, Sue Eddy, said the decision was not taken lightly. She said the building had a number of defects, including combustible cladding on the external walls, insufficient essential safety measures, and significant water damage that led to extensive mold. Now here's one other thing. With the fire cladding they put on the external walls, or the flammable cladding they put on the external walls, I'm not sure this is it, but I'll just highlight it as an example. I worked on some housing here in Queensland years ago when I was a student, and it was some public housing. Now here in Queensland we have our energy rating requirements. You've got the Section J in the building code, but you also have other ones under the Queensland Development Code, like star ratings. And the politicians say, you know, high star energy ratings to achieve all these outcomes. So what they do is you model it up, and then they'll stick cladding to the outside of the building. You know, and often it's meant to be polyurethane. But what do you reckon it is? In this case, I put a carton on, that's more polystyrene stuff putting on there. Because none of this looks like, you know, aluminium composite cladding. It looks like a rendered product, or it could be something else. But that's what they'd be putting on these buildings to achieve environmental thermal efficiencies. So they can say they're meeting this goal, or that, you know, they're saving all this costs. And now people can't occupy the bloody buildings. So a lot of it comes back to the sustainable, policies and implementations in the legislation that we have. That's what you track it back. I'm sure it's fallen apart because they use the dodgy stuff, but you know, if you just make a simple brick veneer with a cavity in it, it doesn't perform thermally as well. It'll still be bloody good, but you have better waterproofing. That's another thing to consider. If it's got water issues here, what they'll do is they'll stick, you know, the cladding onto it. And I'll do another video looking at that, actually. That'll be a good topic to go into a bit of detail with some of the issues with how water can get into these buildings. And a good system, you know, the good old cheap brick veneer building with that cavity between the veneer and the internal wall allows for water to get through, which it will, particularly in heavy rain, and then come out the bottom. It's a good invention, it really is. An expert panel was convened and they made an assessment after looking at all the essential fire safety measures of this building, and it was not viable for this building to remain occupied, and that it needed to be vacated in the interests of public safety, Miss Eddy said. She said she understood this could be a distressing time for the residents, but safety must take priority. Maybe if, the government systems were this vigilant to the policing of the construction, that'd be good. Once again, they're coming in after the issues have happened, but we don't want lives lost. We don't want lives lost, so we can't be that angry at them in some regards. I think we've been bloody lucky so far. I think we have been bloody lucky so far in Australia with all these issues in these buildings, that no one has lost their lives yet due to a, cladding fire. Oh, we've been bloody lucky. So, I know this relocation may cause anxiety, but I want to assure the Victorian public that this was not a decision taken lightly, she said. Ms Eddy said if current residents were unable to find alternative accommodation, the City of Kingston would be able to help them with their immediate needs. The building state today is very concerning, and this is the first time that we've come across a property where the experts haven't been able to come across a solution to keep the residents there. Well, yes, that's it. That you can put other methods in place to get it across the line. So it's no longer safe for occupation. The City of Kingston used its powers to issue an emergency order giving the residents 48 hours to depart. Mayor Georgiana Oxley said the safety of residents was paramount. Due to the extreme fire risk identified, Council has responded to the VBA Advisory Reference Panel recommending and agree to use its powers to issue an emergency order for the site, Councillor Oxley said. The panel assessed the site as at the highest risk factor, and Council has responded to protect the safety of the residents, she said. She confirmed Council had offered to provide assistance to residents if they could not find emergency accommodation. This is the first building issued with an evacuation order since a Victoria-wide cladding audit began in 2017. The ABC understands the builder involved left the industry in 2015. There you go. See, this is the thing. This is why a lot of people don't have legal recourse against this. Because the builders are all leaving the game. It is understood ongoing water leaks within the building caused a mold outbreaks and concerns that the apartment complex was no longer structurally sound. Oh boy. It's also believed the fire safety system was damaged. Severe danger to life. Cladding has been a major headache for the Andrews government, as well as in other jurisdictions across Australia. In July, Premier Daniel Andrews announced a $600 million package to deal with the flammable cladding crisis in Victoria, where about 500 buildings need rectification work to be made safe. Salin Bussin, the National General Manager at building inspection company Roscon, predicted more buildings would be slapped with evacuation orders as the cladding audit's focus shifted towards Melbourne's outer suburbs. Yes, that's a good call there. Because the further you get, the cheaper the buildings are going to be. The more corners are going to be cut, the more alternative products will be put on. Yeah. As the Victorian cladding audit and the Victorian Building Authority starts expanding its audit to the outer suburbs, this is going to become more and more prevalent because the housing stock in the outer suburbs is built to a price point and not towards quality in most cases, he said. I'd say all of them are built to a price point, mate. Just some of them have a dodgier price point. There are many buildings in the outer suburbs that are built out of compete expanded polystyrene, which is EPS, which is one of the claddings that are a concern. Apartment owners and unit owners should really be investing in some reporting and investigation to fast-track this process and to alleviate their own concerns and not wait for the Victorian government to catch up to the outer suburbs. Because as you can see by this action, this is an actual severe danger to life. Yeah. Yep. He's right there. He's definitely right there. Guys, what do you think? You think we're going to see more of this? We've got it happening in Victoria. We've got examples in Sydney, examples in Darwin, Brisbane. We'll just see more and more on the Gold Coast. None have been reported, but people are sending me things. So it's happening, guys. It's fundamentally an issue with the way we procure these buildings. That's what it is. That's really what it is. And the fact that the conflict of interest in the procurement method goes all the way through. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you all again later. Take care.